Stani Army YouTube channel. We are gathered here today to talk about the recent ODI and T20 series between Pakistan and England. We've got myself, Dr. Akbar Chowdhury. We've got Umar. Assalamu alaikum, nice to meet you.
Assalamu alaikum. How are you? How are you guys?
Yeah, all good, thank you very much. Shazeb, Islam, how are you?
Walaikum Assalam, I'm all good. Hope you're all well.
Excellent, thank you. Cal, Walaikum Salam. Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Walaikum salam. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Alhamdulillah, I'm all good, Doc. How are you?
Good. Yeah, no, all good here. All right, so we are going to spend the next hour or so talking about obviously the 3 ODIs, unfortunately, and the 3 T20s, which I guess were maybe slightly more uplifting that we just played over here. I'm going to start with you before we kind of maybe get into the specifics. What were you expecting kind of before the tour, and how did it kind of meet your expectations?
I just want to say it's Friday. This time last week, it was probably like 12 overs gone. We're probably about 100 for no loss. Just thought I'd depress you guys further.
Thanks very much.
How did the tour go? The tour probably when the COVID outbreak got released. I think everybody feared the worst because we like to make heroes out of nothing, and that's what clearly happened. But yeah, disappointed, but not surprised.
Yeah, I think I'd probably say the same. I mean, I think we were talking before the tour about our bilateral record against England, not including World Cups. Obviously, we do okay against them sometimes in the tournaments, like the Champions Trophy and the World Cup. We've had some big wins, but our bilateral record against England is awful, really, really bad, especially in ODI cricket. Shazay, what about you then? I thought we'd win maybe 1, maybe 2 out of 6 games. What were you thinking?
Yeah, as Umar said, I completely agree with him there. Like when all the COVID stuff got announced, I was like, this is only gonna go 2 ways. We're either gonna smash them or we're gonna get smashed. There was gonna be no in between. That was my thoughts before the series. And unfortunately, we're the ones who got smoked. But it was a letdown, the ODI series, to be honest with you. Like, in a way, they completely dominated us, especially when you look at the first one day. We come close in Edgbaston and maybe in Lords with 50 runs off, but it was a letdown, to be honest with you. I'm trying to forget about that. That's how disappointing it was. But yeah, if I was to put into words, I was let down by the team when it comes to the one-day series.
Yeah, no, I think we all probably share that view. Welcome, Sam, to Imi, who's joined us. AK has sent a question about the decision to bat second in that T20 game. I'm guessing that's the second one, isn't it? The second one at Leeds, where we won the toss and put England in. They made 200. So we'll definitely come back to that, AK. So either post the question again, or one of us will certainly remember, and we'll come back when we talk about the about the T20s. And Cal, quickly, I know you might not be able to catch all of the ODI series, but when you looked at the names on kind of England's team sheet and you looked at the names on our team sheet, were you quite confident that we'd maybe be able to win a series for the first time here in a long time?
Definitely, obviously, I thought we should easily win. To be honest with you, I was really disappointed. There were, the batting. There was no intent in the game apart from the last game. The one day what I saw, obviously the first 2 I couldn't see, but the last one, obviously I saw it myself. There was no intent of the other 2 games. Even though when I watched the highlights later, there was no intent from our batsmen. It just wasn't there. They didn't. I was shocked, to be honest with you, completely shocked.
Yeah.
We should have, and for some reason, I don't know why we just, I don't know if we just think that, we've got the upper hand when it's players what we've not really seen before. I don't know if our team just thinks that, yeah, we'll walk all over them or something. It's not the first time it's happened. We've done it more than once. We did it with Sri Lanka. So we should be learning from the lessons, but we're just becoming worse. I don't understand. It's shocking.
You were going to say something.
If you can hear me, is the sound okay?
It's quite low there, Omar.
Sounds like you got an aeroplane in the background.
That's the fan. I was just thinking, trying to be a little bit positive. What I was thinking is, maybe it wasn't as bad. I know we lost, but we should have won at Lords. We should have chased at Lords. We should have chased that score down, and we should have won at Edgbaston. So I know we can be doom and gloom, but if you look at it, the positive, we weren't that far. I know it was their second team, but maybe we can try and be a little bit positive. I
You-
know we did a lot of things wrong.
we can't justify them chasing it one of the highest
Yeah,
scores in Edgbaston on Ovi. That's a B team, not the A team. Then it's understandable maybe, but players what we've never seen before, and they're chasing down the run without. With I think what they had 2 hours left or something. Or was it 1 over? I can't remember now. But uh,
2 overs in the.
yeah, and that was the highest run chase there in Edgbaston. It hasn't been chased that kind of score before.
All
So we
right.
can't really back them up. We can't justify that. There's no way I don't think we can.
So we're going to be okay. We're going to be positive then. So first opening, Shazam, we're 0 for 2. Go on, be positive.
You know what's the worst thing? Yeah, I wasn't inside the stadium then. I was on my way. I'm outside. I'm coming in, and my mate goes to me, "Yo, we just lost him, mom." I'm like, "Already?" He goes, "The first ball." I'm like, "Oh my god, it's all right. Barber's coming in. Barber's gonna shut it down already." The next thing you know, he goes to me, "Oh, he just got out a couple of balls later." I'm like, "Oh my days!" We made the journey from Birmingham. I'm stuck here outside the ground, about to come in, and we're 0 for 2. But I think I agree with Kalia. It's so hard to be positive in that one day series. Like Barber's century, 150, sorry, was a positive. There's a few other performances, little performances, but it's just so hard to be positive in that one day series. I can't think majorly on what can we be proud of. I know in Edgbaston we made over 300, but that should be a normal these days. Like especially in England, these high scores. It's really hard to be positive. Umar, you tell me something positive. What could you learn from that series that you think that okay, we can walk away from the series feeling positive?
Nothing that we already don't know that without
Mm,
Barbara, we're basically not that good. But
yeah.
another thing I was thinking is even going into like
Somewhere wrong with your thinking, Matt. It's echoing.
okay,
Well, that's
Um,
quite bad. Maybe we'll come back to you in a second. I wonder if that's all right. Yeah. So Shazam, just on that first one then. So obviously we've got the score there. Okay. So 141 all out, and England make it for the loss of 1 wicket. Now, AK's written about we shouldn't let the unpredictable tag be used as an excuse. That game reminded me of the World Cup game against West Indies in 2019, where we just turned up and we were awful, and everyone just said, "Oh, it's kind of one of those days of Pakistan. It happens, unpredictable." And it cost us. We got knocked out of the World Cup because our run rate was awful because of that West Indies defeat. Why does this keep happening? Can we put this down to being stuck in that travel lodge in Derby, in preparation, and they just caught us cold in Cardiff? We can't just keep letting we just turn up and have like shocking days.
I don't know why it happens. Like it's probably a mentality issue. I don't know what it is. Like the players had a few practice games before the game. It's not like they came in straight into the one day game and they had no practice at all. They come in. I know they're self isolating for a bit, I think, and they were in the usual scenario. But they did play a few practice games, and there should be no excuses for getting after 140, especially on that pitch of where we played. It's not like it was turning miles or the ball is swinging all over the place. I know Mahmood and Cole bowled well, but not for 140s. That's just embarrassing. And as AK said, that unpredictable tag, like, when it does come at the lowest time, like, it's just so bad. Like, remember just being there in Cardiff and we were just celebrating the little ones and twos, and then nothing after that was coming. And if answer to your question of why it happens, I can't give you an answer. Like I think it's just a mentality issue. Like I don't know if the players need a couple of games to get going. I don't know if they're confident coming into these games, especially away in England. But to me, it's probably a mentality issue if there is one.
What was the
a lack of professionalism.
Go on.
Just lack of professionalism. That's all it is. I feel like
Could
Pakistan
be.
just in India I used to have this problem in the 90s. I'm probably a bit young, but they used to just rely everything on Tendulkar, and this is what I feel like is happening to Babar. Babar will score tons and tons of runs, but at the end of his career, I know Tendulkar was like he did what he did and won the World Cup eventually, but maybe in 15, 20 years time, a lot of people won't remember Babar because our team. I can't see it how this team is going to be great or will achieve anything unless they just again turn up and be unpredictable and win a T20 World Cup or win a World Cup. I don't know how. Even though Barber, as great as he is, and as us guys, we watch him every game, and he is getting a lot of plaudits. Maybe because of the team letting him down, he won't be remembered as a great. I don't know, probably digressed a bit, but yeah.
No, we've got to be careful that it doesn't turn into that kind of situation where we just look back on the Barbary years and almost like, there's, I don't know, I think of like Matt Letizia playing for Southampton. Do you know what I mean? He's always their kind of star player, but won absolutely nothing in his career. You don't want Barbara to be like that, where the Barbary years, we don't win a single trophy or really achieve that highly, but he was amazing. You'd rather have, you obviously would always put team success ahead of kind of individual, wouldn't you? So looking at a couple of the comments, so Adil says our batting needs to improve ASAP. Yeah, we're going to come on to kind of the team as a whole and looking at the batting. He doesn't understand why Sharjeel didn't play. Be interesting to know, Adil, did you want Sharjeel in the ODI team or the T? Because I don't think he was in the ODI squad. But would you have him in the ODI team or the T20 team or even both? AK says that the positive was the kit looked nice. I thought it was an all right kit. Cal, did you like the kit?
Yeah, kit was okay.
It wasn't easy pacer, was it? It was there was something. Was it Bank Alphalar, I think, here rather than easy pacer?
Yeah.
Bro, we lost 3-0. Yeah, I can't even remember what the kit looked like.
Thanks for that, Cal. Shoaib Bhatt, possibly not the real one, says, I'm sorry, but that bowling lineup England had was nothing attack. Who was it? We had Bryden Cast, Overton. I mean, Saqib is going to be he's going to be a quality international player, you would think, for a few years. But his batting was still world class with guys like Vince and Salt and Crawley. I mean, we did a little thing, didn't we? I think it was either on WhatsApp or Twitter. We made like a combined squad of the England and Pakistan ODI squads for that series, and even England's reserves or C team, whatever you want to call it. I reckon probably half of their team probably gets into ours. So it's not a C team, but I think the frustrating thing is that obviously it's not their first team, and if that's what their reserves are doing to us, what would their first team do? Adil says I went to the ODI game at Lords and T20 at Headingley. Oh, poor guy, they lost both. It would be nice if we'd won both matches. Yeah, sorry, Adil, but keep going. Go next time when we're here again. Faisal Ibrahim says Sohaib Maqsood, 6 games, just over 100 runs. Really, do you still keep him? Hand up. Who wants to take that one? Who wants to talk about Sohaib Maqsood?
Let Umar take that one. I think he's his favorite player.
I'm sorry if there's sound problems, but Shoaib Maqsood is brainless. I only just seen it on the last game he played at Old Trafford. He's only scored one score over 30 in 30 games in T20Is. That's abysmal. And he was the one that said, "Oh, I want to bat at 3 and build my innings and bowl." He can't last more than 10 balls. So I don't know I know he scored runs in PSL, but even then, I watched most of the PSL games, and I'd say in most games he got dropped once, if not twice. So he was living charmed lives. And in international cricket, especially against a team like England, you're not going to get 1 or 2 chances a game to try and score 50 or 60.
I think he's another player, Umar, well, does well in domestic and local leagues and that. But when it comes to international, that's it. He can't do nothing.
So these are the unused players. So obviously, if we're thinking if it's a no to Maqsood, and to be honest, I still think it's a little bit in terms of this comeback. I still think it's maybe a little bit early to say kind of no, you've had your time, and I think we'll probably get the West Indies, certainly the T20 games against the West Indies, to kind of see what he can do. Maybe the first 2 or 3. But if you look at the unused ODI players there, obviously a couple of batsmen, maybe there's a spinning all rounder and some bowlers there. But is there anyone in that list or anyone that you can think of that didn't play? I guess apart from, or maybe including Haris Sahel, who obviously had an injury, and Haider Ali, who had the COVID breach. Shazeb, would you say would you have them ahead of Sohaib Maqsood or someone else that we haven't mentioned? And also the guys in the chat, if Maqsood's out, who's coming in?
It's a difficult one because in the one-day team he played at number 6, wasn't it? 5 or 6, and when you look at the list there, Abdullah Shafiq, Safraz Nawaz, and the bowlers as well. Like, there's nobody that stands out to me that says to me, okay, put this player in number 6. So, like I said, it is a difficult one because if it's not Maqsood, who do you put in number 6 position? And we've had this conversation for so long now, like who bats at number 5 for Pakistan, who bats at number 6, both in the one-day and T20, which we'll obviously go on to. So it's a difficult one. Like, I don't know who I'd put instead at number 6. Like, people have mentioned all the names which I don't want to mention, and I'm not going to go that level, you get me? So I'm going to allow that. So at number 6, like I said, it is a difficult one. If you were to ask me, who would you want in the next one-day game, whoever we got, who would you play at number 6? Like, I'm branded. I don't know who to pick. That's how peak it is right now. Like we're so lacking in that power department. We've tried so many players, Asif Ali and Dan Shazir. There's so many players that we've tried, but there's nobody that stood out and they told it that looks that okay, pick me. So it's a difficult one. And with Maqsood right now, like you said, Doc, I'd probably give him a few more games because there's nobody else that's standing out.
Yeah, Shoaib says Maqsood is batting too low. Swap his place with Rizwan. So Rizwan 6, Maqsood 4. Okay, maybe. Adil says Harasel gets too injured. He does. He seems just to be injured all the time. And it's difficult to invest faith in someone and say, right, you're on number 4 or you're on number 5 or whatever, if you know that in the next series he's just going to get injured again. Faisal thinks that they're trying to give Azam Khan a chance. Interesting to whether you think, again, we'll just try and be clear whether we're talking T20s or ODIs. So whether you think Azam in the ODIs, I mean, it's not a crazy suggestion. I think probably Haris and Head Ali are just ahead of him. I would have thought in the ODI team. But you know, if Haris Sahel comes in, I guess everyone just maybe moves down a spot. Maybe Rizwan goes to 6 and Shakil stays at 5. Cal, have you got a name that you would have in that middle order, or no, or just no one else that we mentioned?
Obviously, he wasn't with the squad, but maybe just to secure, like the middle spot, make it more solid. What's his name now? Is in our test team? Is it? Got his name. Fuad Alam. That's it. Fuad Alam. I'd give him a go because one day it's that kind of game. You've got plenty of time in it, and he's a solid batsman. Yeah, I'd definitely give him a try in the one day in the middle order. Because you don't need a big hitter, in the middle order for one day. You just need someone to anchor the innings, take it through, and he's a perfect batsman for that, I think.
I think we got sold for that now.
I was gonna say,
I don't think Saud is as good as Fawad Alam, to be honest with you. He's about, I don't know.
So we're going to come on to Lords. We'll come on to Lords, which is where Saud Shakil actually played quite well. He bowled a bit. He got a wicket. He went for about 4.5 over the series, which is actually not bad for the middle overs. He got a 50. I think he got a 50 odd in that game as well, as we kind of inched our way up to 200 and sorry, no, not 200. 200. What was the score in that second ODI? Help me out here, guys. 247.
Yeah,
that's it. So as we inched up, to 247, and he kind of played that anchor role, but there was no one there with him. That game just confuses the heck out of me. That Lord's ODI, right? Because I wrote it down earlier. So we had England 21 for 2. Okay, so we win the toss, we elect to bowl. It's kind of cloudy. It's swinging at Lords, as expected. 21 for 2, brilliant. Somehow about 10 overs later, they're 118 for 2. We're just bowling complete rubbish. Then we've got them 100. We've got them 160 for 7, brilliant. And then end up getting 247 and winning the match. And I just don't. That is just mercurial Pakistan in like the space of about 3 hours. Shazeb and Umar, you guys saw that game. Shazeb, you will have watched it as well. What did you make of that kind of bowling performance and just generally that game? How did we not win that?
Go on, Umar, let you go first.
I think that game overall, I'm most angry about that game more than Edgbaston, because like you said, firstly, there's probably no way they should have got 247, and secondly, chasing that score even right till the end. A lot of people say Hassan Ali should have, he did what he had to do, blah blah. But I still think if Hassan Ali batted like Shaheen batted and batted 30 or 40 balls, we still could have won that by 2 or 3 wickets. I still think that we probably would have won it a lot earlier. I'm really angry at Hassan Ali. I know the top order didn't fire. I know everything else. Saud was the only one that stuck out. But I feel like Hassan Ali in that game, he bowled well, but then he could, and he's got the ability with the bat. So I don't understand why he just comes in and just swings. I know he's a bowler. His prime thing is to bowl, but it's a team game. It's like saying Maguire shouldn't take penalties because he's a defender. I just don't understand it. Like in a penalty shootout, I'm still angry at him for that game. But overall, 247. It's a typical 90s chase, which we're great at. Well, we should be great at because we played 90s cricket apparently, but we just didn't get over the line.
So I guess the interesting thing about Hassan is, again, he went 4-6-6-6 off Matt Parkinson, and then he got out to Bryden Cast, and you think just. You didn't need to go that over. You could have just waited for Parkinson or a different spinner to come back into the attack. And that's the thing. And that's why I have faith in I have faith to an extent in our lower order hitting for T20s, where a quick 30 might win you a game. But by and large, a quick 30 like Hassan, 31 of 17, it's not going to win you a 50 over. It's not going to win you a 50 over game, and that's where again you've got to have that, I guess, that cricketing nous as well to kind of pick the right time to do it. So yeah, no, it was a really frustrating game, and I was looking at the stats earlier. So and that's a low scoring game, isn't it? 247 plays 195, and yet between them, Fahim and Haris went for over a run a ball. They went for nearly 100 in their 15 overs. And again, it goes back to they picked this same team for all 3 games. Fahim played, Haris played. Haris has bowled a little bit in the power play. I don't think anyone's a fan of that. Cal, if you look at that team from kind of 8 downwards, Fahim, Hassan, Haris, Shaheen, where do you see a weakness there? Fahim doesn't have great numbers with the bat. Haris is a bit hit and miss in 50 over cricket. What are your thoughts?
I think the weakness what I see there is Haris. And the only thing with Shaheen, I personally think we've overbowled him. I personally think, and now he's got exposed. So I think we need to rest Shaheen maybe for a series or so. Yeah, give him a bit of rest. Get Hasnain in. Give him a bit of match practice and give Shaheen some rest, because Shaheen's I can't remember the last time we didn't play a game. So I think he's been overbowled and now he's exposed. He's all over the show. This series, I think he must have been one of the highest run, the most run giver. So I think Shaheen definitely needs a rest. And Haris, Haris does not get into the one-day team. He's not a one-day bowler. Even 2020, he's a bowler where you come later on in the innings. He's a death bowler, but not for one days. I would not put him in. And maybe bring Hasnain in. And maybe give that. We was watching. I don't know if it was in the 2020 games or not. Yeah, we was watching. There was 2 bowlers what was bowling really fast. They were coming in. I think there was one with Muhammad. Is it Wasim or something, or Muhammad Akram? One of them names. And there was another one. I think his name was Arshad something. It was coming in really fast. We should give these bowlers a chance. At the end of the day, this is. If they're not going to learn anywhere else, if they don't learn, here, obviously we should be experimenting here. And we know, obviously, Shaheen is a world-class bowler. So give him a rest and give these other bowlers a chance. That's how we're going to find out if they've got the potential or not.
Yeah, Shazay, we've got the unused T20 players there. So there's actually Iqbal, there's Mohammad Wasim Jr. there as well. There's also, I guess, there's Ahmed, I guess, in terms of players that are out there that might be, qualified to play for Pakistan. You've got Dahani, who has been picked in the West Indies Test squad, I think, and not the white ball squad. So again, are you thinking like Cal that there's a big weakness there with Haris and maybe to an extent Fahim as well?
Yeah, I think so. I was really surprised that they never used Nawaz at all in the series, one day or T20, because he bowled well in South Africa. I remember him, he's opening the bowling and he bowled well. And I think after the second one day, I was saying I think he should play instead of Fahim. And in that third one day, I was so surprised knowing that they made no changes. Like, we lost the series, we're playing the England B team, and they made no changes at all. And I was really shocked at that. So I think Nawaz was harshly dealt with this series, this tour. He never played one game, which is surprising. He should have come in for Fahim in that last one day, and it didn't happen. I think with Fahim, I think we got to stop labeling him as an all-rounder. Like, with the bat, he doesn't really do much. I know he hits like a couple of sixes maybe in a few games, but he's not like an all-rounder. You can't name him as all-rounder. Obviously, you'd rather have him bat than someone like Shaheen, someone like Rauf, but he's not really an all-rounder for me. And maybe the same could be said for Shadab. He had a few decent starts in this tour. He made a few 30s, but it's a tough one. Like, I know a lot of people label these guys as all-rounders, but they need to be really good with the bat and show a few shots and show that they can build an innings. And to me, they're not all-rounders. So we are lacking in the department when it comes to, the 5th bowler or the 6th bowler. And Nawaz was someone that I really wanted to see play.
Yeah. There's a comment about from Shoaib as well. Rafni dropped from the squad permanently. Umar, I know you're a bit up and down with Haris Rauf, mostly down, I think, isn't it?
A bit like his bowling.
Very good.
But he's a really nice person, I think. I still remember. I don't know if you. I'm sure you sat with this document. Was it the 2020 or was it Edgbaston?
Edgbaston.
He waved his sorry on that. So. Obviously, the intent's there. He tries his best, but you can only do what you're good at. You can't do something. It's out of your
He's
hands.
gone
You
from
can't do it.
straight from table into international cricket. Like it was destined to fail. You know, one thing I'm gonna digress again a little bit. We've read the pitches really badly. I don't know if we've done it on purpose or if we're trying to do this scenario based stuff in actual games. But in every game, I think we've done the wrong thing. We already know England gonna bowl first every game, and they don't like chasing. They like chasing. So why did we do the opposite to them? And the one game where we batted first in one game. Our strength is batting first and uh, holding down a target, but we want to chase. We've never been able to chase. I've been watching Pakistan cricket for about 21 years now. I can't remember one decent chase we've done. So I don't understand why Misbah thinks we can chase when we can't. But as for Rolf, I think with a lot of the same goes with a lot of our players. He needs to go to first class cricket, doesn't he? He needs to put in the hard yards and come back and see if he can do anything. He's too erratic. He's too up and down. Um, you don't know what you're gonna get from him. He's like a pack of round trees, isn't he? He's a bowl a Yorker one ball, and then he's only got two lengths. It's either Yorker, or it's the short one, or the slow one. That's it. He's got nothing. He's got no variation. He's got no match management. But yeah, on to the next one.
Yeah, no, and this is where we need to use him a bit better. I think it doesn't help sometimes that he does come on kind of during the power play where that's not his game at all, really, is it? So yeah, just looking at again more comment. We were talking about the batting, weren't we? I mean, Farouk is very thanks. Farouk has very helpfully given us a list of failed. Umar Akmal, Iftikhar Ahmed, Asif Ali, Haider Ali, Danish Aziz, Masood. Yeah, you're right. The hunger to find an aggressive middle order batter continues, and there was a mention in the comments as well from Shoaib about Fawad Alam, but I think he would prefer that we kind of went with youth rather than an experienced player. So look, we're going to wrap up the ODIs now. So we'll come on to this onto the third game. I guess I'm really confused because I feel like we're all right at Test matches. We've just beaten South Africa. We've beaten Zimbabwe. I think we've battled hard in New Zealand. So you think, okay, maybe we've got a team that's really set up to kind of play the long game. And then actually we do quite well in T20s as well. We were the world #1 team until quite recently. Again, we've just given England a really good series. So I can't get my head around why the middle format of 50 overs, why we're so bad at that. Shazad, why are we so bad at 50 over cricket but good at the other two?
It's really baffling, is it? Like, I feel like, after the 2019 after the 2019 World Cup, I feel like we've been focusing too much on T20. It kind of makes sense because we have got 2 T20 World Cups coming up, you know what I mean? So it just kind of makes sense of the management and the coaches and stuff. But I feel like after the 2019 World Cup, they have fully left out the one day and focused on T20. Answer to your question, I feel like we're lacking there because we need positions for everywhere. Like even with the openers, middle order, our all-rounders, we got no clue to say that except for Barber and Rizwan. Even Rizwan, we don't know what his best batting position is in the one-day T20. Of course, I think he's one of the best openers we've had in a long time. But in the one-day team, he could maybe open as well. But we've spoken about that. But I feel like a one-day team, it has got a lot of holes in there, and they need to play more games and focus on it as well, especially with the one-day World Cup, I think, coming up in 3 years now. After the T20s, we can focus on it, but there is a lot of holes that need to be filled up.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so I'm just going to come on to this comment from Adil. He says, one is Shajil in both ODI and T20 team, but they selected Imam over him. So we're going to go, just based on that, we're going to go to the third ODI, right? And obviously we made 332 or 331. England chased it with about 7-8 balls to spare. Highest ever run chase at Edgbaston. Cal, Imam Ul-Haq, right? He went at 4.6 runs and over. So he got 56 off 73. So he went at 4.5 and over in the power play. The rest of the team went at nearly 7.5 and over. How is that acceptable to get a 50, but to get it so slowly?
Personally, he was just batting to make sure that he stays in the side. That's how I think about it. Because the first 2 games, he didn't do nothing. So he wasn't playing, for the team in that game. He was only playing to save his spot in the side. That's what my view is anyway, and the way I saw it. So he wasn't playing to... That pitch, they were saying it beforehand, is a 350 pitch. Yeah, so he should have been scoring a lot quicker than that. So he was just making sure, that he gets at least 50, so he saves his spot in the team. So I personally, I know a lot of you lot don't agree, but Shajil, obviously, he wasn't even in the squad, for him to get picked in the one days. but they didn't really have any other option anyway. I don't know with
Abdullah Shafiq would be I guess the other opener in that squad, wouldn't he?
yeah. So what they should have given him a chance. Obviously, Imam never did nothing in the first 2 1 days, so they should have gave Abdullah Shafiq a chance.
Shazad, what do you reckon? He made 50. It's better than 0. I mean, we're just complaining about being 0 for 2, weren't we, in the first game? And now we're complaining, well, I'm complaining anyway, that he made 50. And yet, we put on 100, and I don't know how much he put on with Barber. It was 100 and whatever, wasn't it? So where do you sit on the kind of in the Imam debate?
I think what I would do for the next one-day game, whoever it is, I would personally push Rizwan to open with Barber, not Barber, with Fakar, and put South Shakil at 4. I feel like South Shakil is the bang-on number 4 player that we need. If he bats at 5, I think it's too low. If he bats at 3, it's too high. So personally, I think Imam, I'd have him in the squad. I wouldn't completely drop him. I do feel like he has got a talent in him, but what I would do is open with Rizwan and Fakar and Barber at 3. That's me with the one-day top 4.
It'd be interesting to get some comments from you guys who are watching as well. Shoaib said, I think it's the opening that's hampering, putting pressure on the lineup. That comes back to the previous comment about dot balls consumed by Imam. He thinks it was the 50 in the third ODI was too slow. Umar, I think you're maybe a bit more of an Imam fan than maybe some of us. Is that right?
I think Imam's fine if Fakhr fires the way he can, basically. But then I also think Imam bats really well with Barber. So talking about partnerships, Barber, so does everyone else. But I think Imam is fine because we need stability. Because like we saw in Cardiff, we could easily be 140 all out. And him scoring 60 off 70 is fine with me because we got Barber coming in, and then the only way I'll drop Imam is if Riz went to open, but we don't know if that's gonna work because he's never done it in ODI cricket, but he's done it in T20 cricket. So that would be I'm fine with Imam, but if Riz was to go to open, I wouldn't begrudge it.
Yeah, I think the thing that gets me about Imam opening, and again, I think he's, let's not say this is not like a huge problem. They're probably got bigger problems in the team, but if we want to try and be as good as we can, I guess the thing that I have is that everyone wants to bat at the top of the order. You look at all the other teams around the world, everyone wants to be 1, 2, or 3, and the reason for that is because that's the easiest time to bat. Ball comes onto the bat, you don't have to worry too much about spinners. Obviously, the field is up, it's power play. And I just feel like that is the time to cash in. And if you've got a guy going at 4.5 and over, you've then got to make up later on, haven't you? And it's not like we've got an amazing kind of middle order. And the other thing is, it's not as if Imam doesn't catch up. So Barber also started that inning. Barber looked really scratchy at the start of that 158, didn't he? I think all of us were at that game. And we probably watched it on TV since as well. And he looked really, really ropey. But he managed not only to get in, kind of find his way into form, but also to catch up. And that's the problem that I have with Imam, is he doesn't catch up. I don't mind if he's 20 or 40, if he's going to end up being 70 or 65 somehow, but he doesn't. And I guess that's the kind of that's the issue I have with him. But just as an aside, with regards to the ODI series, Shazeb, I think you went to the first and the third. Umar, you probably did the same. I was at Lords. Cal, you went to Birmingham. Shazeb, as a fan, what was your experience of being in Cardiff and being in Birmingham?
Cardiff was a bit annoying because there's only like 6,000-7,000 people allowed. On top of that, the performance was dreadful. Edgbaston was good. I was supposed to be sitting with opposite side of you guys, but I must have dropped a text and Cal goes, come over, we got space for you guys. And once I got there, it was crazy. Like, we cheered every run. That game was more close. It's not like the Cardiff game where we got battered. So it was a good experience with everybody. It was the first time meeting you guys as well in that game. So, well, some of you anyway. And it was really good, and the atmosphere was really great. We'll come on to the T20, obviously. That was next level, but to Edgbaston was good, and big up to you guys as well.
Yeah, I have to say, so I was at Lords, as I mentioned, and yeah, that wasn't much fun. Not only just the on-field performance, but actually I thought, there wasn't an England game obviously at Lords last year. I thought Lords would be proper buzzing, even though it is Lords, and we all know about the traditions and how quiet it can be. But that was a really, really poor atmosphere, even for Lords. I don't think it was helped by not a great game. It wasn't a particularly fun day. And Ahmed, obviously, you went to Birmingham. Cal, you went to Birmingham. Sure, you had a lovely time, right?
Yeah, Birmingham was just next level. Even I was quite surprised, to be honest with you. I was shocked there was not many Pakistani fans in Birmingham. Normally, when you go to Birmingham, you can just see everywhere green. But this was nothing. And all I remember, is on our stand, must have had about at least good 30 seats what was free. About half an hour into the game, they was all finished. And next to Cass, I think it was, yeah, he had about maybe at least 20 different people who come and sat next to him. Yeah, one moved, and the other one moved. But that atmosphere was just great, especially in Birmingham. We rocked it in Birmingham. Our stand was just somewhat different. So next time, if you see Stani yeah, you know which time to come on.
Absolutely, no, that's the place to be. And it genuinely is. That's the thing. We kind of joke, but having sat kind of with you guys and away from you guys during this series, it's like chalk and cheese. Honestly, you feel like you're almost at a different game, and it really helps to have like a big kind of core of Pakistan fans kind of seated together. So that was really good. AK
saying that, Doc, Hulk went over. He went out. He went across the other stand. And the spectator come up to him. She goes to him that, oh, it's boring on this stand. Good job you've come over.
And that was in the Hollies. That's the party stand.
And that was a party stand as well, yeah.
Absolutely. We are the place to be. So anyone who's watching who hasn't come and sat with us or sat with the Stani Army in the past, make sure you get in touch on Twitter and what have you. And next time there is a tour, AK mentions about a tour. There isn't, unfortunately, a tour next year, as far as I'm aware. Anyway, I don't think there's not a Champions Trophy or some little other trophy we can kind of, just cash in on and come and visit. So I don't think Pakistan are here next year. But I'm sure, inshallah, we'll be back at some point pretty soon. AK mentioned about the tickets at Lords. Yeah, you minimum 125, something like that, which is just crazy prices, especially when you compare them to the prices at the other grounds. And he also says Edgbaston 2019 versus Trent Bridge 21, atmosphere wise.
Ooh.
Neck and neck, I'd say neck and neck. But I think Edgbaston would have took the edge, I think.
Cal says Edgbaston, Umar?
I'm going to say Edgbaston because
that New Zealand game, innit?
All together.
Yeah. Shaz?
Edgbaston, I think that Nick's just about over Trent Bridge, I think.
I think Trent Bridge probably was louder for its moments for the wickets if you watch the wickets when England are chasing on the highlights or whatever, the noise when we get those wickets as they're struggling to chase 230 something is ridiculous and probably higher than what it was for the ODI game. But that the kind of the longevity of that ODI game, Pakistan fans we were crazy from 11 in the morning or 10:30 whenever it started to like 6 in the evening, just constant noise. Which is why I think Edgbaston probably just edges it, to be honest. So look, we'll go on to that. We'll go on to that T20 game. So this is the big highlight of the tour, really, isn't it? This is the game that we'll all remember. We made our best ever T20 score. We won. It's the only game that we won. I think the thing that I was impressed by in this game, obviously, we got the brilliant start with Babar and Rizwan at the top. If you look at Maqsood, Fakhr, and Hafiz, so 3, 4, 5, they got 69 off 4 overs. And that's what we've been crying out for with our middle order, isn't it, Umar?
Yeah, just come out, use your brain, and just be attacking and show some intent. Obviously, it helps when you come in 150 for 1 rather than 15 for 3. But then again, that's another argument. But yeah, they played how we wanted to play more or less every game. Obviously, we've seen what happened in the following 2 games, and every pitch isn't the same and all that. But that's the way to go. Just back yourself and play with intent. It's not always going to come off. Even England always don't come off. Even sometimes England are 200 for 7 in 25 overs. But if you do it for long enough, you will get results and you will be successful.
And I think this is where we have to kind of differentiate between T20 and 50 over cricket, isn't it? Because you look at Livingston in the 3rd game, who came in and got 6 off 2, and it basically almost like a match winner, to be honest. And you look at Maqsood, who got 19. Maqsood got 19 off 7. Fakhr got 26 off 8. These don't look good in the averages. But if you look at and this is why you have to. I know we talk about data and stats, and you've got to be really careful with data and stats, because 6 off 2 can be a match-winning innings. And it can be just a completely pointless innings that does absolutely nothing. And so when we look at stats and we look at strike rates, you've really got to look at the context. And in the context of that game, 26 off 8 from Fakhr and 19 off 7 from Maqsood is absolutely brilliant. Shazay, what did you make of that game? Again, probably the highlight for you as well.
Oh yeah, that day was so good, man. Like, had Cal behind me, Umar in front of me, a few of the other guys around me. That day was so good. Like, I feel like we didn't dominate the game because England did end up only like 30 runs short, but it just felt like we dominated because in the stands we were just going crazy because it's not a rare we like 230 on occasion. So it was a really good day. Like you said, everything done their thing. Barber is one set the platform. Then the middle order finally chipped in. Then I remember after that game, I told people that listen, the middle order, they're not going to get this type of comfort where our openers do so well and they come into this position where I think we lost our first wicket, 150 runs on board, and that's when McCrew, the Fees, and the rest come in. That's not going to happen every game. And that's when I said to people, okay, what if we're 50 for 2, 100 for 3? How are they going to play? And obviously, we found that in Headingley and in Manchester, what happens. And yeah, like I said, that day was amazing. Even Livingston's 100 from opposition, it was just such a good innings, and I enjoyed watching that. And we got the job done at the end, and like you said, highlight after tour, and I just missed that day already. Even though I think it's been a week now, hasn't it? What a day it was.
The weird thing is, and I think I tweeted about this. The weird thing is that England have their strength, Cal, on these little small boundaries where they can make 300 in a T20 game. And you would think Pakistan would have the advantage on maybe like a slow, low pitch, the one that turns maybe like Manchester. But they somehow won at Manchester, and we beat them on almost like we beat them at their own game, really, of like power hitting. I didn't think we'd win that kind of game against them.
Yeah, you're right. But the problem is, we just go into a shell for some reason. Yeah, like for example, I don't know if you realize, but England, even when they're losing wickets, they don't go into defense mode. They just go on attack. So even if you're looking at like they're 2 down, but if you look at the run rate is still up there. Like that, they may be 50 for 1, 70 for 2, 80 for 3. Their run rate does not go down. Where ours, as soon as we drop wickets, yeah, we just go into a complete defense mode. I think we need to get out of that kind of shell now, yeah. And obviously, because if we're going to just defend and then still lose the wicket, what's the point of that? You'd rather just go out and take a chance. If your chance pays off, you're going to get runs. And then, okay, if your wicket was going to fall anyway when you're in defense mode, you'd rather take the chance. So I think, yeah, go on, Mark. I think you were going to say something.
I was just gonna say, but Cal, you need the players to do that. They've got Butler.
I was about to say,
Oh, but what? Okay, TK, they've got the players, yeah. How did our players make the runs in the first game then? We've got the players, but the intent's not there. Their mindset is not there to go for the natural game, go for the shots. They, for some reason, and I think this is backroom staff here telling him, look, no, defense. It must be Misbah thinking, yeah, defense. Look at Fakr. He's a player, yeah, who normally used to go for his shots. If he came off, yeah, he was making runs. Now he's nowhere like that. He doesn't do that. He just goes, and now he just goes under the defense mode. And obviously, that must be coming from the backroom staff, 100%. That's not the players playing their natural game. That's what I think, anyway.
Fair enough. There's a comment about Maqsood. Maybe he would come in at 5 rather than 3 because it went Babar, Rizwan, Maqsood, Hafiz, Fakr, or Maqsood, Fakr, Hafiz, maybe in a different order. But would you have Maqsood at 3? I feel like 3 is quite a privileged position in a T20 game, isn't it, Umar?
No, not at 3. Someone that can't bat longer than 10 balls can't bat at 3. It's just hard because with Heather being an idiot, he would have, even though he's had bad form, he probably would have still played. Who else would you bat at 3 at the minute in this team?
I'm really hoping that. Yeah, I was really hoping that Heather is not practicing, like just learning his game, improving himself, because I really do like him, and the wickets that he used to give are so pointless. So I'm really hoping that he can come into this team and solidify his spot. So that's up to him. Obviously, if he does work hard, he can make that his spot, because like I said, we're crying out for batsmen right now in the D20 team. So I really do hope that he's improving himself and he can maybe come in and who knows.
Yeah, we saw it. We saw go on.
Just a quick one. I thought the only way we can sort our number 3 spot is, I don't know what everyone else thinks, is if either Fakhr or Sharjeel open and then Babar bats at 3. That's the only way Maqsood can come down the order, unless we push Hafiz up. But then that's just something short term, because he's probably going to retire in a year, 6 months. So I think that's the only way. But then has Sharjeel merited to be in there? Or then that's just another argument. But yeah, that you can move on.
No, I think probably from a Sharjeel point of view, I don't think he has done enough. If you look at the stats and what he's done in domestic stuff, he probably hasn't. I would be up for opening with Fucker as well. But again, we can't just get bogged down in stats. But Barbara and Ridwan right now, you can't break it up. It's not like, and you might say, well, hold on a second, you want to break up Fucker and Imam in ODIs, and they've got great numbers. The only thing is, I feel like you could probably do a bit better than Fucker and Imam and put someone else up there. Whereas I'm not sure you can do much better than Barbara and Rizwan right now. I feel like the net loss would be probably the net result would be a loss.
You could try, instead of Shoaib, you could try Sharjeel in there. That's an option. He can play more than 10 balls, can't he, at least? Well, where Omar's argument.
But he also takes
if you think about it.
Takes a bit of time
You
to
could
get
bring
going.
Sharjeel one day, one down.
Anyway, let's go through a couple of these comments because we've just missed a few of them. So, Walaikum Salam to Raja who's watching. Thanks for joining. AK says, at least we don't have to listen to Please Don't Take Me Home again. God, yeah, I think we all had enough of that song. Anyone who went to the went to the games. Adil is
we normally drowned them out, so it was all right.
That's true. Adil is multitasking because he's watching us and he's watching the 100, and apparently Muhammad Amir is doing okay in that, so that's good to see. AK mentions about Headley. That was a COVID breach. I think in their pre-departure bubble, I think he breached that one. So that was a shame for him, because I think any Pakistani batsman really who can bat in the kind of lower to middle order, as it were, has got a good chance of getting into this team right now. Shoaib talks about Hafiz being in poor form. He has. His form recently is about 1 in 6. He's kind of come off, really, which is probably not good enough for a top order batsman. I just think, Shazeb, do you think Hafiz did too much last year for them to get rid of him in that T20 team? Do you think he's just got a place nailed on for the World Cup?
No, we can't get rid of him now. Like, you're right there, Shoaib. He has been in bad form, but we can't get rid of him now because I feel like they've been hiding his bowling, and we've seen in the last T20 the guy can bowl, especially to left-handers, and I feel like in Dubai he will be handy with the ball, bowling 2-3 overs, maybe even 4. And like I've keep saying, if there was somebody knocking on the door, then okay, fair enough, drop a fees and put someone else in. But now we can't drop him because there's nobody else that can come in at number 4. So I'd keep him, and his bowling will help, and I think in Dubai he will do well with the ball anyway.
So we'll come back to your question about Misbah and Vakad at the end. Time is kind of against us right now, so we're gonna let's go through these last couple of T20s quickly, and then we can wrap up. Now, in second T20, obviously we've talked about why did we bowl first, and whether that's a bit of scenario training or a bit of kind of what if we were in a World Cup semi-final and we had to chase on a spinning pitch. I don't know, or maybe we just misread the conditions, but we probably made the wrong decision to bowl first. England got to 200. Haris Rauf went for 34 in his first 2 overs. His 2 power play overs in the T20 series went for 19 and 19. So I think Haris Rauf in the power play is really not a good mix. And then I guess it comes back to they talk about matchups in T20 cricket, and so you had England were playing the leggy, and you would think you'd play a left-hander with the ball spinning into him. But we brought the right-hander in, and when they were bowling the off-spinner, that's when we brought Fucker in as our left-hander, again with the ball spinning away, which is more difficult to hit. So, Omar, do you think, are we overthinking these things, or this is data and kind of matchups that we need to get on board with? And I guess it goes back to the management question as well. Are we really analysing things as good as we can? Because we got so bogged down in that run chase.
No, you're 100% right, because I was sitting next to I think it was Imi, and I said the exact same thing to him. But then what I also said is, Azam Khan, he's playing. So forget whether we pick him or not or whatever. He's playing. He's shown that he's more than capable of taking these spinners to town. So why didn't they just elevate him to 4 instead of just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? That's it. We're not going to move around. We're not going to change. We're not going to do anything. Azam Khan, we know anyone that's watched him knows his strength is playing against spin. So between, I think it was about 7 and the ball, they were just rotating Rashid, Ali, and Parkinson. Was it? Yeah. So they were just rotating them 1 over each. I think Parkinson bowled 2, and then the other ones were bowling around him. So why didn't he just send him in instead of him coming in when when the rate was at 16 and over, him playing 4 balls, getting stumped and getting dropped? So like you said, we just stick to what we know. We're so pragmatic. We don't go by situations. We don't change up. We don't look at what's needed at the time. We just do what pre-planned. Everything's so pre-planned, and if you watch Pakistan long enough, you know what they're gonna do. Even with their bowling, Shaheen and X will bowl 5 overs each in a one-day game. Then the other second two will bowl 5-5, and then it's just a circle. There's no thinking on the spot. But yeah, I thought that was probably the worst of the three games. That Headingley.
How much of that can we put at Babar's door as well in terms of his captaincy? What do you make of his captaincy? I'll go to you first, and then Shazeb after that.
In the Old Trafford game, amongst the chaos, I tried to actually watch Barber. I thought after 11 overs, there were about 80 for one. So I thought, okay, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to watch Barber and I'll see what Barber does. And I don't think I did a good job, because every time I was looking at Barber, Rizwan was doing the fielding changes. Oh, you come here, you come there. So I'm not sure. I know Barber, he is trying. You can see even when he took that catch for the second wicket, the Sky just before Maqsood dropped it. He's got passion, but I think anyway, on field, Rizwan is doing more. Unless Barber is just that quiet kind of captain who's just making that subtle movements, and Rizwan is the more vocal one. But to me, in the T20s, it looks like Rizwan is physically doing more.
Shazeb,
if you guys are picking.
Shazeb, I tend to agree, to be honest, Elman, and it'd be good to hear from the comments as well from guys who are watching as to what your thoughts are on Babar's captaincy. I actually made a note. I don't want to go back to the one days too much, but when we had England 160 for 7, I went back and looked at the commentary, because when you're there at the game, sometimes bowling changes happen. You don't really realise what's happening. So we had England 160 for 7. And they got like 27 in the next 4 overs, and essentially, we weren't really bowling our best bowlers. And again, there was one of the other games, I think, in Edgbaston as well, when we got them 160. Sorry, it was Edgbaston. We got them 165 for 5, chasing 330, and Shadab and Saul Shakil are bowling the next 5 overs. And you think that's the time to maybe bring back one of the pacers who hadn't bowled for a while and pick up a wicket. What do you make of his captaincy? Have you been impressed or not? Or is it still too early to say?
Too early to say, I think. Like, it's not like it's been absolutely dreadful. And I know we just lost 5 games, but his captaincy isn't the reasons why we lost them games. You know what I mean? So, like you said, Umar, I think Shadab as well, he does a lot of fielding changes. Like, when I watch him live and on TV, it's always I know he's a vice captain, but I feel like he takes over a lot and he's trying to help Barber, which is obviously okay. Nothing wrong with that. But he does look a bit quiet, Barber. He's not that vocal, but he is very passionate. Like, when you saw him when he took that catch, he was really good. And the thing is, right, it's too early to say. It's too early to say, in my opinion. Like, we can't just be like, captaincy isn't good. He hasn't got the players, or the thing is, like I said, he hasn't got the players, and the coaching is a debatable one as well. So to say that he needs to get off the captaincy, I think it's to say, and we should give him a bit of time before we take him.
Yeah, fair enough. Cal, we're going to go on to the third T20 now. This was obviously the one in Manchester. We batted first. We made 154. England chased it 7 down. I would say probably as a neutral, probably as in if you were a neutral, it's probably the most exciting game of the 6 matches. To be honest, I mean, Edgbaston was close, but this felt like the closest game. Again, we go back to that middle order, right? So it's not a hugely difficult pitch to bat on. It's turning a bit, but then again, that middle order. Okay, so Maqsood, Fakhar, Hafiz, 3, 4, 5 got 38 off 34. So that's basically just run a ball in a T20 game. Is that where we lost it? We didn't make enough runs. We got bogged down, or something else?
I think we was about 10, 15 runs short. Even maybe about 5 runs. If we had another 5 runs. But the thing is, what it is when you get a slow, low scoring, when it's a low scoring game, the margin for error is really small. You cannot make any mistakes, and if you do, it's just got to be minimum. And we made too many mistakes. We let 4s slip by. We dropped catches. All these little margins, they cost you the game, and they did cost us the game. Because if we, for example, that Hasnain, he overran that ball, that went for 4. Hassan Ali dropped that catch, that was 2 runs there. They were vital points. Them 2 runs there, it would have been 5 balls, 6 runs, a new player on that side, you don't know what could have happened then. So these kind of things, they make a big difference. So a low-scoring game, the margin for error is really small. So at the end of the day, I think we should have tried getting at least 170. the intent, like I said before, the intent is not there. If Hassan Ali can come out and hit a six for no, for at will, why can't our other players do it? Why are they coming out and playing on defense mode? If Hassan Ali can do it, he's on the same pitch as them. The pitch is exactly the same what they've just played on. If he can hit it at will, why can't our other players hit it? It doesn't make sense.
I think
What is the mindset what they're playing under?
It will be interesting when maybe if I get if I get bored at work, I might look this one up. But I'd be very interested to see what happens in the next 10 balls after you lose a wicket for every country in the world. And I reckon the next 10 balls after we lose a wicket, and I'm completely guessing because I haven't looked it up, I bet you our run rate, the 10 balls after you lose a wicket, are lower than most other teams. It was definitely
guaranteed. I'll tell you without even you looking at it. I'll tell you now, 100% ours is. I guarantee it, 100%.
Yeah, it's already right. So yeah,
and them kind of things loses the game because you're just putting more pressure onto your team. Because when you're defending, and then you still drop the wicket, you still lose the wicket. You just put more pressure onto the team. Rather than if you've just gone out, if you're going to lose the wicket anyway, you'd rather go out trying to get something. But it doesn't make any sense. You're not even trying to do anything, to get the team into a better position, and then at the same time you lose the wicket and make it even worse for the team.
Yeah.
I think we
so
lost
the
Manchester game.
Yeah,
cool. We didn't do the basics right.
Yeah.
We didn't field right. We didn't catch right. We probably didn't. Up until the spinners, our paces didn't. Shaheen went for 18. Hassan bowled well, but then the last 3 overs all went for the last 3 overs all went for 6.
Yeah.
Fine margins, and especially when you got 154 on the board.
Yeah.
Even our last over, what we batted, we didn't. I think we made about 5 runs, was it, or 4, something like that. We didn't make.
I think it was 3.
Yeah.
Saying that even Hassan's last over he bowled. Okay, let's drop the wicket. The 2 he bowled at Jordan without his legs. Why wasn't he bowling Yorkers to try and
Well, like you said, it was margin for error. He's really slim, and you can't make the mistakes. We did make the mistake. So, but if that game was, I would put it. I don't know if you remember in the World Cup when we had the game against Afghanistan. It was up there with that. Afghanistan, I'd give it a little bit more edge because that was even more tense. This game was the last 5 overs was very, very similar.
Shazeb, you went to all 3 T20s, I think. Again, we got a couple of minutes left. Just again from a fan experience, you had a crazy night, really loud night at Nottingham. Headingley, I think I didn't go there, but I'm pretty sure you all baked in the sun during that Sunday afternoon. And then obviously Manchester was a really tense one on Eid for most people. So again, fan experience going to those T20 games, probably quite good.
Oh, fantastic, man, fantastic. It was so good. After the T20, I just miss them. That much I enjoyed it, you know what I mean? Headingley was not too bad. I think England dominated us in that game, which is the reason why the fans wasn't as loud as Nottingham and Manchester, if you know what I mean. But when it comes to Manny and when they done that mini collapse England, it was so tense. Literally, you guys were there, you know how you felt. For anyone that watched it on TV, it was probably more heartbreaking seeing us lose like that. But in the ground, it was just so tense. We were having so much, and it was just brilliant. What do you think, Kalman?
Yeah, if we won that game, that would have been, I think, like a World Cup thingy what we would have won. I'm telling you, yeah, the party would have gone on all night long. They would have, because from the situation we would have won it from.
Oh, we'll go on.
I take it back. We didn't lose Manchester because of our basics. We lost Manchester because Doc came on the big screen, slapped his chest and said, "We got this. That was all your fault. I saw you, Doc."
Oh, was I on the big screen?
I missed that one.
Am I the only one that saw you?
No, he should have recorded it, man.
Because the camera was on me and I did that, and then no one messaged me saying that it came on TV.
Oh no! Umar must be watching the highlights later.
Look, it's dark and nobody was listening to me. I saw you on the big screen.
When was that?
We got this.
When was it? At the end, towards the end, last 5 overs.
Before the last over. Before the last over, was it?
One of the wickets.
Come on, man, Umar. You really think we was in our senses in the last couple of overs? We were looking at the screen. Come on, I don't even know what happened in the last 5 overs. Forget the last 1 over. I don't know. We were looking at the screen.
Well, 2 things. Good to know that someone saw me on the big screen, and obviously, as it transpired, we didn't got this. We didn't have it, did we? Because we lost. But anyway, shows what I know. So look, okay, we got maybe a minute or so left. So anyone who's watching, please, if you fancy commenting, and thanks for all the comments, guys, we appreciate it. I know it's been a while since we did one of these shows, so thank you very much for sticking with it. If you've been watching.
One more thing, Doc, I just wanted to say, yeah, you know, the last game, okay, we lost it, but I wasn't really disappointed, yeah, because we fought. You know, if we fight, yeah, then you're not disappointed at all. Even the one days, yeah, if they fought, you don't be disappointed at all, yeah. But when they don't even fight, there's no fighting there, yeah, then that proper kills you, man. It's just one of them things, man. But
to be honest, Cal, a lot of people said that after that game. All the boys,
Yeah.
a few of the boys I
Yeah.
went with. After Leeds, 10 of us went to Leeds and 10 of us went to Manchester. After Leeds, everyone's deflated. Then after Manchester, everyone was like, it didn't feel like a loss. It was an amazing game.
yeah, that's what you want.
Obviously, you are like when you sit down and think about it. And you're like, at the end of the day, we did lose. But then, like you said, when you fight, you know, almost to the last ball, when the game's almost got after 10 overs and you make a comeback, that's what you want to see. You can lose. Anyone can lose a game. But like you said, Cal, fight till the last ball, fight till the last run.
No, absolutely, and it's interesting because you mentioned about how you felt at the end of that Manchester game. So I guess my final question was: we've just had 6 games, obviously in a really short period of time. We've now got 5 T20s coming up against the West Indies, who actually, if you look at their summer, they started off quite poorly against South Africa. They lost their series 3-2. They've just beaten Australia 4-1, so they look like they're coming into some kind of form. Depending upon the COVID situation, some of these games might not happen. But so, as a question for the guys in the comments, question for you guys, I'll start with you, Shazeb. Considering where you were before the series and considering where you are now, are you more confident about the West Indies T20s and just the World Cup in general from a T20 point of view? Are you less confident, or are you as pessimistic or as worried as you've always been?
If it was the one-day team, I'd be extremely worried. But the T20s, I just feel like it's that middle order that we need to fix up. I know we've said it for so long. It's just them 3 to 6 we need to fix. I feel like our bowlers, our spinners, our openers are bang on. Like Babar is one I'm so happy with. Like they're doing amazing. I know some people want to change it, but for me it's bang on. Bowlers as well, fast bowlers, spinners is bang on. It's just that 3 to 6 we need to fix, and then I'll be ready for the T20 World Cup. Hopefully we find that combination in West Indies. Who knows? But let's see what happens. We've got 5 games, so we've got plenty of games to experiment. Hopefully we play all 5 games. I know all that COVID stuff. I don't know what's happening, but let's see what happens.
Yeah. Cal, more confident, as confident or less confident than you were before?
It's 50-50, to be honest with you. I think the only real positive what we've got there, yeah, is the opening. Everything else, we've got a lot of tweaking to do, you know, like even the bowlers.
Right.
We've got tweaking to do there.
Shazeb thinks we've got about 7 or 8 decent players. Cal reckons we've got 3 decent players.
No, we've got decent players, but we just need to tweak them around, innit, really?
Yeah, I know.
2, Rizwan and Babar, and that's it.
Yeah.
I've got no hope in anybody else.
Well, if you think about it, yeah, once Babar goes, yeah, once Babar wicket falls, yeah, that's it, it's game over. I think everybody thinks that, and I think the Pakistan team thinks the same. So then that means that they're the only 2 batsmen we've got. Because if Babar goes, we think, yeah, Riz needs to stay till the end. Yeah, and if Riz goes, yeah, we say Babar needs to stay till the end. That means the rest of the team doesn't matter.
I think in this firstly in this West Indies play, it could end West Indies 5, Pakistan 0, or it could end Pakistan 5, West Indies.
No, come on, man, don't be that bad. No, it won't be that bad.
They're both as unpredictable as each other. Whichever side of the bed they wake up on, then we'll find out when it gets to the first ball. As for being more confident, less confident, or the same, I'm always the same. I never know what to expect every game, so I'm sticking to that.
I think that sums it up pretty well. Last few comments. Shoaib says, watch out for Hayden Walsh Jr. and Obaid McCoy. Yeah, I saw them in some of the Australia games. They look pretty good. He thinks it's a 50-50 T20 series. Adil's enjoying the 100, so we're going to let him go and watch the end of that. Mohammed Rafiq ends on a really positive, says we've only got about 4 decent players. I guess what we're saying is we've probably got 3 or 4 players that could probably get into most other teams. I reckon most other teams could find a place for Babar.
Match winners.
Probably Shaheen, possibly Hassan Ali gets into most teams as well. So there's always, and in a T20 game, you might only need 2 or 3 of your players to fire. And that's the difference between T20 and 50 over cricket, where you can't just get away with 1 player doing it most times. But anyway, look, that was a real quick kind of 1-hour tour of 6 matches. So hopefully we kind of gave each game enough justice. And thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks for you guys for participating. Obviously, interact with us on our Twitter page. Subscribe, like, share, subscribe. Obviously on the YouTube as well. We're hopefully going to be back with some shows for the West Indies series. Certainly, it helps from a UK timing point of view. I think all the games T20s and Test matches start 4 p.m. UK time, so that's really helpful. And inshallah, we'll speak to you guys on screen, you guys in the comments really, really soon. So thanks for watching. We'll obviously win, lose or draw. We've got to end it with Pakistan.
Zindabad.
Zindabad.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Allah Hafiz.